It's 3 o'clock sharp, so it's time for the next presentation. So far we have seen 6 presentations and we have 2 more presentations to go. The next presentation is from MEGA, and in Gartner's Magic Quadrant they are also listed as a leader. When you visit the website from MEGA, the first thing you see is their payoff. And their payoff is see the bigger picture, accelerate business transformation with an outcome-driven approach. Well, as architects, we are of course interested in how MEGA accelerates the business transformation of their clients. Again, questions can be asked through the Q&A in the top of your screen. Some presenters will answer the questions directly, and others will answer it at the end of the presentation. The presentation will again be recorded and later uploaded to YouTube. Then I would now like to give the floor to Mustafa and Romain from MEGA.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear us well? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so let me try to share my screen. Okay. So can you see my screen now?
Yes, go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. We are here 2 persons, Mustafa and Romain, from a company called MEGA. Mustafa is the one that will work mostly today because he will be involved with the demo tooling, to the tooling demo. Our presentation that will be over a 50 minutes period will be divided into 2 main parts. We will have initially a brief introduction about the company, about what we do and how we position ourselves in the market. And then, of course, most of the session today will be spent into the tool, and Mustafa will demonstrate a nice little story of an airport that will go us through all the typical EA layer and deliverables. So, who is MEGA? So we are a software vendor. There's no surprise given I would say, the profile of the sessions today. We are in the market for a certain number of years. I think this year we will have 30 years that we're delivering products to our customers. We are a software vendor and a consultancy company because, as you probably know, delivering value through enterprise architecture requires very often a bit of experience and knowledge, and this is delivered essentially through consultancy skills and from time to time product engineering skills to somehow shape the usage of the tool to the outcome which is expected. So what we deliver today is, I would say, a full stack of typical TOGAF layer when it comes to modeling the enterprise architecture. So, of course, it can start from strategy definition, go through the business layer down to the IT layer and information architecture and data architecture. And I would say we do have also a pretty strong dimension when it comes to governance, risk and compliance, with a certain number of, I would say, modules which are dedicated to specific departments in the organizations. These will not be part of the demonstration today. But when it comes to, I would say, how we position ourselves in the market, it joins a bit one of the questions that has been asked in the previous session, is that, of course, we are today very outcome driven. What does this mean? We believe that doing enterprise architects like librarian only by getting inventories and diagrams is a step which is necessary, but is today not sufficient to somehow demonstrate how the EA department delivers value to the organization. So we will spend a bit of time this afternoon in depicting how we get organized to have this outcome-driven orientation. Okay, so, and what we try to do is, of course, help the architects and the business people to deliver the value as fast as possible, hence to automate at a maximum, I would say, the gathering of the information, be it in the initial phase of the project, where everything starts, and then you guys have information a bit left-hand side and right-hand side, or be it under a maintenance perspective, where, of course, one of the key assets that enterprise architects needs to deliver is a, I would say, to-date repository with information which is fresh and which is used correctly to take decisions. Okay. So when it comes to our offering, we deliver to the market a platform which is called HOPEX, HOPEX standing for Holistic Operational Excellence. Everything starts, as in most of the EA software toolings, with a central repository, okay? So this repository delivers a certain number of generic functionalities, like as you can see displayed here, ability to, I would say, define profiles and the GUIs that will be displayed for each of the profiles, delivering alerts, governing the content via workflows or social, I would say, features, dashboarding, establishing confidentiality and visibility on objects and reports. Of course, reporting, which is one of the main keys, I would say, dimensions that we need to use in delivering the outcomes. Of course, as mentioned, several times today, ability to do assessments on objects via several techniques. And then we have built on top of this a certain number of what we call functional modules. And here, what we're trying to do is to empower the EA teams directly with an out-of-the-box usable solution. Okay, so with each of the modules that you can see here, for example, enterprise architecture, we deliver HOPEX IT Business and Portfolio, and we deliver HOPEX IT Architecture. Those two come with a full out-of-the-box, I would say, approach. Approach meaning meta model is defined, roles are defined, the method used to deliver that outcome is embedded out of the box, and it can, of course, be modified, but it is very important. We were speaking today about application rationalization. What is the method that I need to use when I need to rationalize applications? So first, I need to do an inventory. Second, I need to assess what I have, and third, I need to transform. It seems very simple, but yeah, from time to time, if we don't use methods and we don't know exactly where we stand in the process, it's a bit complicated to deliver final value. Continuing on that, of course, we have a BPA dimension, a BPA standing for Business Process Analysis, and there is a module called, solution called Business Process Architecture. We cover fully the information architecture and data architecture with what we call information architecture and a solution which is dedicated to initially GDPR, but more and more to other privacy regulations that we see popping up throughout the globe. And of course, as we were saying, the GRC dimension is really complementary with solutions related to integrated risk management, which are covering essentially operational risk management and internal control and internal audit. These are, as you will see, very important because features that we can find in these modules can be used in specific use cases, and these use cases will allow, I would say, the EA department to really deliver value and be outcome driven. So what we did is we tried to sit with the consultants having delivered a certain number of assignments around HOPEX, and to understand a bit how EA departments are situated within the organizations. Meaning, is the IT department sufficiently credible? Is it trusted? Is it consulted? So we tried to develop a very simple maturity model around, I would say, this topic. And we came out with a, I would say, 4-step approach where we observed on the field that generally when you are on an initial stage, when it comes to EA maturity, what architects are doing, the value which is delivered is not really perceived. Generally in these kind of cases, EA is seen as an extra effort and a cost. Okay. Some organizations are a bit more developed, and they reached a stage where EA is useful. So you manage internally to produce enough value for the stakeholders on any of the layers or on any of the outcome-driven approaches that you wanted to address. There is enough value, but you're still in push mode. You're pushing information you generate to the organization. Still, this is a very valuable stage. Once you've been gone through the stage, you may aspire to something which is called trusted. Okay, so trusted, you already built your own reputation internally, and you can be seen as a source of truth. Okay, and then what's important here is that people are coming and they get information without your need to pushing them this information. Okay, and then the goal for everybody, of course, is to become influential. And when you reach that stage, of course, you will get, I would say, approaches like let's ask EA, and yeah, let's establish a collaborative way to see how we can deliver what we expect to deliver. So when it comes to, I would say, the journeys through these levels of maturity. So for example, if you're in an initial stage and you want to go to, I would say, a useful stage, generally you will need to build a EA baseline. So that will be, of course, linked to priority layers in EA, but you will be, you know, in position to fit in the repository to create capability, mass business processes, with their applications, to initially involve people from the business while asking questions about the artifacts that you want to collect and about, I would say, the current practices. And of course, to create some initial dashboarding via, I would say, socializing the EA function. Once you reach the useful stage, then this is a very important stage where you normally need to start establishing repeatable use cases. And we will see what a use case is, because this is very closely linked to the outcome-driven approach. Okay. Of course, you will need to start to integrate with different data sources, because golden sources are sitting everywhere, and you might need to leverage on that sources. And the other way around, some other sources of information in the organization will need information which is kept into the EA repository, and you will need to, I would say, fit in those sources. You will need to start establishing a governance process, and of course to build roadmaps and potentially to obtain sponsorship from key CXOs in the organization. Once you establish that, of course, you might have reached a trusted level, and then once you want to go influential, you will absolutely, we believe, need to go to the business layer. So you need to expand your business cases throughout the organization, potentially to leverage on what we did for other risk management, be it IT risk management, IT compliance, or pure operational risk, or internal control, or internal audit. And of course, be part of what we call strategic decision. This is where EA is normally influential. Now, these kind of use cases, I will have a few slides on what is a use case, and I will have some examples of use cases that we have built together with our, I would say, consultancy colleagues. A use case is be it business or IT initiative that needs to be delivered, and EA is used in that delivery. Okay, so we will have some examples here. What is most important to understand is that a use case is imperatively linked to a method, because if I take a first use case, if you want to transform your business, you would like to potentially transform your operating model. How do I do this? What is the typical method? Which are the steps I need to undergo to achieve this operation? By step, which are the entry elements, which are the output elements that will allow me to, let's say, deliver, I would say, that initiative. So examples of use cases in the business domain is, of course, let's say, operating model transformation, prepare for process automation. More and more, you might have process mining needs. Go to automated systems and, I would say, collect information about how your processes are delivered. Check them back into the BPA solution to understand how they map against the, I would say, logical processes that you have defined and so on. BPA, automation, simulation, all these, I would say, initiatives are really outcome driven, and this is where EA has a strong value to deliver. If you are in a comply mood and you want to do GDPR, there is a solution which has a method and deliverables and roles and workflows and everything that's needed out of the box to be compliant and to report that you're compliant to the regulator. BCM and BCP, how do I do this? What do I need? What objects? Everything is in there. Process-based risks and compliance. Okay, so this is also a very important topic. Operational risk is more and more, quantitative approaches when it came to, I would say, Basel II and Basel III are less and less of interest because of, I would say, the non-consistency in the real life of those models. So more and more organizations are coming to a risk approach which is based on processes. And if I would like to have an optimization of, I would say, my business, I might want to model the customer journeys and to optimize the business processes, or I might want to set in place quality management systems. And here, for example, if we look at ISO standards, more and more quality management system is not only linked to business processes, but it's also linked to risk management. So here we're coming across, if we recall, several solutions which are sitting into, I would say, the HOPEX platform, but these can be really combined, and that will allow you, for example, to deliver quality audits when it comes to quality management systems, so that you make sure that the, I would say, the process is under control and the quality of your services or product is mastered. And I would say the same when it comes to more IT-oriented transformation use cases. Of course, we would have to build an EA baseline, but if I would like to transform, I would need to do some IT strategic planning, IT transformation governance, agile solution architecture, cloud migration. We heard this today several times. Complex system architecture. From time to time, people in specific sectors, defense or whatever system of systems, might need, I would say, frameworks which are like NAF or DORAF that are required to model the complexity of what they're doing. If we secure our IT policy and regulatory compliance, very important today, cybersecurity, resiliency architecture, data glossary management, data compliance. This hits strongly against the information architecture part, but it's extremely important when you want to have a complete, I would say, information architecture or enterprise architecture approach. And of course, what is very often mentioned today, application rationalization, and very often the technology standard and obsolescence, because we all need to understand which technologies we're using and how obsolete or how fresh they are. So these are some examples of use cases which are all outcome driven, meaning, as I was saying, in each of these boxes, you have a method, you have a meta model, you have roles, you have governance rules, you have reports, dashboards, which are already available. Of course, we might lightly fine-tune them to be adapted to your own organization, but globally, you need to do the 5% extra mile and not the 90%, 95% of the full core of the outcome that you're after. And I believe this is all for me. I would like now I will try to share, allow Mustafa to share the screen. Can you perhaps try to share your content, Mustafa, please?
Thank you so much, Roma. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Roma, for this interesting introduction. Now we are going to see a demo on Hopix, our platform for enterprise architecture. So in this use case, we have an airport, and this airport is undergoing a digital transformation journey. And the CEO has requested from the operations and from the IT to work together in order to understand the impact of this digital transformation on their business model and also on IT landscape. So the business strategy of this airport is based on three main pillars, which is the revenue growth, and to increase the customer satisfaction and to improve safety. And they have also identified some important elements like increasing or enhancing the check-in in that airport, deploying applications in the cloud, and also to have new emerging technologies like IoT and machine learning in order to enhance the services as well as the product proposed in this airport. So now the enterprise architects will be working with the operations in order and the business in order to drive this business strategy. So how we can drive this enterprise architecture journey? So let's see on Hopix how we can do that. So in order to start, we are going to start from the strategy. So what is the strategy of this airport? So here in this diagram, we see the different strategy phases which have been identified. So our current stage or the current phase of our strategy to enhance the customer satisfaction. And for that, we have identified several objectives and also some goals in order to achieve this phase, which will help us go to the next phase, which is the predictive and preventive maintenance, which is a future strategy phase, which has also its own objectives and its own goals. And the third phase, which will be the last phase of this digital transformation program, which is to introduce the global leadership and growth. And for that, we have identified the strategies, the goals, the tactics, etc. So after having this vision of our strategic roadmap, now we would like to know what is the value stream, what services and products will be delivered in this airport. So for that, we can drive and we can have definition of our value chains. and also what business capabilities will be used in order to deliver these value chains. So what you see in this diagram, these are the value chains on top, and below you have the business capabilities which will be used within these value chains. Which brings us another question. So what is the organization model of our airport? So what are the departments? What are the people involved in these departments? So for example, we have corporate headquarters, which has operation department, HR department, procurement department. If we go inside the HR department, so we can see who are the people inside this department, like a recruitment manager, HR administrator, etc. So also as an enterprise architect, we need to have this visibility about this organizational model. And our organizational model also is important, but what is important also is the skills. So what skills do I have inside my airport? So here we have business skills areas, and inside each area we have a business skill. For example, here for assisting passengers with any question or problem. So we have an airline agent, we have reservation agent, which are all skills required in order to deliver this skill. Now we will see the business capability map, which are the different business capabilities we have inside our airport, and also the business functions, which you see on green. So the business capabilities are yellow, business functions are green. And here we will align our business capabilities with our IT landscape. So here we are connecting applications to our business capabilities and our business functions. And as you can see here, we have some colors, we have some shapes. So what is that? So here there are some KPIs which we have identified, and based on them, we have evaluated our application landscapes. So here we have evaluated our applications based on business value, functional support, SLA level, and technology compliance. And these colors are representing the result and the output of this evaluation projected on our business capability map. Also another map, which is the operation and the execution business model. So here we have our business capabilities as well as our business functions and the skills also attached to these capabilities. So here it gives us an idea and a view on how skills are linked to our business capabilities. We have different strategic phases, and for each strategic phases, we need some applications and some architectures or infrastructure in order to deliver this strategic phase. So here we have the different strategic phases that we have, and on left we have the business capabilities, and inside this table we have the applications, we have the infrastructures, we have the architectures. So all what is needed in order to deliver this business capability within the specific strategic phase. So for example, for a business capability, which is air catering, a mobile web payment application will be used in our first strategic phase. And it will not be used inside the second, while it will be reused again inside the third strategic phase. So here it gives us an idea about what is our applications landscaping with respect to our business capabilities. So all of this information, we have it inside our strategy part. Now let's go and see what elements and what artifacts we need to collect in order to build our inventory of EA inventory. So we can start by having requirements and architecture principles. So what are the requirements and what are the principles I need in order to achieve my enterprise architecture journey? What are the applications I have inside my organization? And here we can build our inventory of these applications. And for each application, we can have a property page, which will include the information related to this application. So what is the type of this application? What is the version number? What is a functional description? What is the functional description? What is the functional scope? So to which business process, to which business line, business capability this application is connected. What is our governance model around this application? So who are the owners? Who is the local application owner, the IT owner, the business owner, etc. And what are the technologies used within this application? What is the flows? What are the inward and outward flows, information flows? What is the data used inside this application? What are the risks, etc., etc. So as you can see, we have different roles which will be in charge of this application, and also we have a lot of information to fill. So how they can work together. So for that, we have collaboration feature, which has some features like workflows, and using these workflows, these different people can work together in order to enrich the information related to the applications, like validation workflows, like financial update workflow, like review workflow, like IT and business update workflow. Also, I can include information and build our inventory of application systems, technology stacks, the data, the business processes, the risks, etc., etc. After I have enriched my inventory of all the EA artifacts, now I would like to take advantage of all of this information and start analyzing what I have. So for that, we have a lot of out-of-the-box reports, which can be generated automatically based on the information I have included inside my inventory. So here is my applications lifecycle, which present the different applications I have in my inventory with their respective life cycles. I have application technology obsolescence, and in this report, I can see what are the applications that will be in the retirement phase in the next floating year, and what is the retirement date, what is the business lines attached to these applications, what are the business capabilities. Also, I have another section, which is the applications using a technology, and this technology will be obsolete. So here I have the list of applications on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I have these obsolete technologies that will be obsolete in the next floating year. I have application positioning report, and inside this report, I will have an idea about what are the applications to eliminate or to renovate or to maintain or to replace or to enhance based on 3 predefined criteria, which is business value, functional support, and technical efficiency. And this is useful in our case when we move to the cloud, because we need to see what applications I will need to keep, what applications I will need to reinvent, which applications I need to replace, etc. So this is a report which is generated automatically based on the predefined criteria and the evaluation I did on my applications. Also, I have another report, which is technology overall conformity. And here it shows to me what are the technologies that are approved, accepted, or prohibited per each year. So I can have an idea on my technology landscapes, for example, in the upcoming years, to see if I have any prohibited technologies that are currently used or will be used. I can have an idea about my technology usage. So what are the technologies that operating systems, platforms, application services? I can have also an idea about the cost. So what is the TCO of my applications and how this TCO is divided by cost line. So here we have manpower, infrastructure, software license, etc. And these reports are dynamic. So when I click on any partition in this report, it will show to me what are the applications that fall under this partition. We have a lot of out-of-the-box reports. We will not go. I will not show you all of them today, but feel free if any of these parts are interesting for you, so we can deep dive later on after this session, whenever the time, to explore more about how I can perform the best analysis with respect to your use case. So now, after I have identified my strategy, I have built my inventory of EA artifacts. I did analysis on top of it. Now I know which direction I would like to know. So in this case, I will start by planning my projects. And here I will define projects with their life cycle and also their dependencies, and I can generate this project Gantt chart. Also, sometimes I have different scenarios. So which scenarios to take first, which scenario to take later, what is the cost, how I'm going to take my decision, what are my decision criteria, etc. So in this case, I will need to have some comparison analysis between the different scenarios in order to drive my projects. So here in this case, I have identified like cost, risk level, business value, ROI, and I have defined several scenarios. And in these scenarios, I did a comparison to choose what is the best fit for my digital transformation journey. Also, I can see the impact of these projects on our business capabilities. So here is the business capability map. And inside, I can see the projects which will be used within these business capabilities. And also, I can add some criteria in order to evaluate my projects with respect to these business capabilities. Like here, we added impact type. So here, when it is yellow, so it is an updated impact type, removed impact type, etc. Also, I would like to see the project capability deliverable metrics, which is what are the projects I have and which applications they are going to deliver with respect to which business capability. So I can see that this project, which is deploy Arnex suite to support baggage management, will be delivering 5 applications, and it will be under the umbrella of baggage management business capability. So here I can see the relationship between my projects, the applications, and the business capabilities. Also, I would like to model and to view my business processes. So here are the business processes that exist within the organization. So I have management processes, operational processes, supporting processes. I can deep dive in any of these areas, and I can explore deeper levels. So here I have sub processes. I can choose any one of them. And here I will have different other processes. Let's select this one. And here I can see that I have 2 actors in this process, which are the HR department and the recruitment agency. And I can see the operations and how they are communicating. I can have as many levels that I want inside my business processes. So in this level, here we have the different operations that are done within this business process. Here I have the different application system used. I can include any of the risks identified. And as you can see here, we are following the BPMN notation. And to model inside topics, it it is quite easy. So I can choose any of the element, and here I will have what we call an intelligent bar, and I can use it to connect another element to the initial element. So here I have connected an operation to the initial operation, which is identify and select candidates. I would like also to know what architectures do I have. So in this case, I have the environment diagram, and inside this environment diagram, I will have at a macro level or high level, what different systems do I have, what applications do I have, what actors do I have, and what is the flows between these different application systems. I can select any one of them and I can deep dive into it. So in this case here, we are seeing that we have 6 different applications, and also we have entry points, we have exit points. If I can select any one of them, so here I will see the internal application architecture, which consists of IT functionalities, which consists of databases. I can have microservices, etc. So here we are modeling the internal application architecture or the environment architecture. Also, I can model my infrastructure. So here I have different, I have my headquarter, I have a data center, I have an IoT infrastructure. If I select my IoT infrastructure, so I can see what servers do I have, what clusters, a firewall, I have a data lake, I have an Android, I have a tablet, I have a computer, etc. So here it gives me an idea of my infrastructure. And also what you can see on top is the applications and technologies and the architectures deployed on the server. So it is not only stating my infrastructure, but also what technologies and applications are hosted on my infrastructure. I would like to have an impact analysis. So here we can generate this environment report. And inside this environment report, I will have my infrastructures. And also I will see what servers are deployed on my infrastructure, what hardware do I have, etc. Here, if I select any of these servers, so I can see what technologies, what infrastructure, and what IT services, what microservices do I have. So here I can check any of the impact analysis, like for example, if one of my servers is down, so what architectures will be affected? If I want to change a certain infrastructure, so what technologies will be impacted, etc. So here it is an impact analysis study that is generated on an environment report in order for me to understand what is going on in my landscape. I would like also to show you what this airport did with their data. So data is represented into 3 layers. So we have this business layer, which represents the different business concepts. Inside the organization, we have logical layer, which represent the logical representation of this data. And finally, the physical layer, which is where this data is deployed, so in which databases. So here in this graph or in this map, here we have the business information map, which gives me the different blocks I have for inside my information map, and also the different concepts I have inside each block. So for example, here I have different concepts and how they are interconnected. So I can see that a flight can have 1 aircraft, and the aircraft can have 1 flight, flight can have 1 pilot. Also for a business dictionary, I can have a representation, which is semantic representation, and I can see how my concepts are interconnected. I can generate a glossary report, which is the output of the different concepts that I have defined. And this report can be communicated inside the organization. So here I have the different concepts, as well as their synonyms, their different definitions, if they have pictures, etc., etc. I can have relational, I can have UML diagrams to represent my logical layer. And here we have the entities with their attributes and the associations between the entities. Now we would like to see physical representation of our data. So here we have the different databases with their columns, their keys, and how they are connected. So here it is a physical implementation of our data. So data usually has a journey inside the organization. So it is used by different systems, transformed, etc. So how can I have this view? So in this diagram, we have the data lineage diagram, which shows how data is transformed inside the organization. So here we are starting by a business concept, which is business data origin, which will be consumed by an architecture called customer relationship management system, and then passed to an IT service, and then passed to a microservice, and then used by technology, which is then sent to an application, and then finally it will be transformed to another concept, which is customer concept. So here it is a journey of data inside the organization. So in this demo, we have seen how the enterprise architecture has been used inside this airport, starting from the strategy, and then how we built the EA inventory, how we have analyzed all of this data, and how we did the transformation and the business processes and our architectures, and finally concerning the data, which is the heart of the EA initiative. Thank you so much for your listening, and now let's take any questions.
I can't see questions, Rolf.
We see one question. The question is, does the repository distinguish between current and future situations? Can you make analysis that show gaps between current and future states on, for example, the application landscape?
Yes, indeed. So we have notions of, for example, variations. So let's suppose you have an application which is decomposed into IT services, which are themselves decomposed in, I don't know what IT services and so on. And you would like, this is a version 0 of the application, and you would like to, of course, transform this application to better respond to your business capabilities that you want to implement and so on. So the variation mechanism allows you to inherit from version 0 while creating version 1, and then keep that traceability of all the items that have been brought in from inheritance. Then in version 1, of course, you can delete, modify, add new, I would say, components of that artifact. That will become your version 1. And we do have two kinds of, I would say, vectors of communication. So either we have reports, which are, I would say, tracing which are all the differences between V0 and V1. And second, we do have diagrams, which are color-coded, and you can see exactly on each diagram which has been changed and so on. So yes, we do have version management, which is embedded in there.
Okay, thank you. Then on a personal note, can you tell us something about your footprint in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, I think we started with customers in the Netherlands something like 10 years ago. Okay, so we do have some of the customers. I can share names in off today. And we also have some partners because from time to time delivering locally in normal times, it's better to have a local presence. So we have those two dimensions, a presence in terms of reference and a presence in terms of people being consultants, so having similar profiles as what you at Solventa have, but with also a knowledge of the tool, able to implement the tool and to, answer to the business need which is exposed by the customer.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you both, Mustafa and Romain, for this presentation. Well, again, in case there are additional questions or in case attendees want to get in touch with MEGA, just let us know, and we will make sure the contact is established. Then I will now continue in Dutch. Via deze weg een huishoudelijke mededeling. We hebben zojuist van Mavim te horen gekregen dat degene die de presentatie zou geven wegens persoonlijke omstandigheden afwezig is en dat er op korte termijn geen vervanging is. Dus daarmee zijn we eigenlijk vrij abrupt aan het einde gekomen van het tooling event. Dus de presentatie van Mavim die gaat vandaag niet door. Ze hebben wel aangegeven later alsnog de presentatie graag te willen geven. Dus dat gaan we nog inplannen voor diegenen die die presentatie nog heel graag zouden willen zien. Dus dat gaan we nog laten weten en daar komen we op terug. Met de presentatie van MEGA zijn we dus aan het einde gekomen van deze dag. En daarmee aan de derde editie van het Solventa Tooling Event. De presentaties en YouTube-opnames die worden in de komende dagen gedeeld. Nou, we hopen dat iedereen heeft genoten van de dag. Dat je kennis hebt opgedaan en dat de dag informatief was. En via deze weg, iedereen bedankt voor zijn of haar aandacht. Alvast een hele fijne avond en graag tot een volgend event.